If you believe the following lies, the following 5 common fitness lies, you are completely holding back your progress. Now, don't feel bad. A lot of people believe them to be true, but we're going to correct things for you. Here we go.
Correction.
I like this.
Yes.
I don't know where did this stem from for you? Did you see something or come across an article or what prompted this?
Yeah, just thinking about like what are the most common reasons that the average person just either plateaus, doesn't see results, or gets turned in the wrong direction. I'll start with the first one.
Yeah.
It's an old saying. There's a little bit of truth to it, but I think it's caused, actually I'm positive it's caused more damage than
I'm
progress.
pretty sure.
And that's the old adage, no pain, no gain. Okay, so this is old, by the way. I think it was invented back in the, I want to say the 60s, maybe 70s. And a lot of people believe this even if they haven't heard this before, right? They think that pain in the workout, pain through the journey,
It's weakness leaving your body. Sal.
this is what gets
That's right.
this is what gets results. And I would like to change this because I'm going to make this more of an accurate statement. I'd like to say no challenge, no gain. There's a difference between pain and challenge. And the truth is with your workouts, hard is fine. It's going to be hard. Pain, most people don't know how to differentiate between good and bad pain or what kind of pain they should be feeling. So what they tend to do, especially in the early stages of fitness when they're motivated by self-hate, is they seek out the kind of pain that typically means you're doing things wrong
I
or
wouldn't
you're
even
overdoing
call
it.
it pain, really. I mean, I would call it struggle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Challenge or struggle.
Yeah, because that's not the feeling you have going through that. Like if you do have pain and it's like a legit pain signal, that's really bad.
No, it's totally bad. It's even on the sore side. If you were
Yes.
that sore where it's painful to get up or move or sore to the touch,
You ruined your workout.
that was not good.
No.
That is not ideal whatsoever. So it's manifested in the fitness space as no days off. I
Yes.
mean that type of attitude, which I feel like obviously we've been screaming that from the rooftops for quite some time, but I just think that one of the most common things that we get is once we convince people that it doesn't have to be that difficult, there's a much smarter, better approach, more sustainable approach to health and fitness. I can always see the difference of the person when we're talking on air or that we meet. That light bulb had switched and they're just like, oh my God. I remember it in Katrina. I remember Katrina looking at me and going like, this is crazy. I feel like I'm trying at 50% of what I was trying before, half the time inside the gym, not running like crazy, not going from these eating not good, then all of a sudden starving myself. It's like, she goes, I feel more fed. I'm eating more than I've ever made before. I'm only strength training a few times a week, no running whatsoever. And I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, and this is her figuring this out into her 30s, so
after decades of being an athlete.
Yes, after decades of being an athlete, a collegiate level athlete, and thinking that she knew what she was doing back then, and then realizing, oh wow, there is a much better approach.
We have to understand kind of where this comes from. So there's a few roots that feed into this false adage. One of them is oftentimes the people that get a lot of attention in the fitness and health space are fitness fanatics, orthorexics, people with body dysmorphia, or even people who've accomplished a lot in some kind of a fitness-related or physical-related field. Now, I will say this. There is some mental discipline benefits to pain, but it applies to a very small percentage of people. Like if you are competing at a very high level, that you need to learn how to deal with pain because when you compete, this is what you're going to be dealing with. Now, the average person, you don't need to train this at all, or if you do train this kind of mental discipline, don't worry, it'll come just from being consistent, just from maintaining consistency. That's where you're going to get this mental discipline. Now, if I'm training a soldier, if I'm training somebody who's about to go into a fight in an MMA, in a cage, we're going to have some practices that are going to push your mental limits. Has nothing to do with improving your fitness. Has nothing to do with building muscle. Has nothing to do with giving you more stamina, more strength. It's everything to do with you got to just weather the storm because when you're in the ring or the cage or you're on the battlefield, that is what's going to be important. But for most people, like 99% of people, not only is that not something you should train regularly at all, But what it does, it actually stops your progress or sends you backwards. Here's why. Exercise is a stimulus for adaptation. It's the adaptation that is the improved fitness, okay? Getting stronger, getting leaner, improving some stamina, feeling better, having less pain. Those are all adaptations from the stress of exercise. If the stress from the exercise exceeds your body's ability to adapt, you're just recovering, you're just healing. And if you push it beyond that, you can't even recover and you break things down. This is where you get hormone issues.
You're just beating yourself up.
This is when you feel like I'm working so hard. I can't believe, why am I not losing? We have this stubborn body fat on my body. Why is my body not responding? I'm killing myself in the gym. I'm super sore. What's happening? Well, here's what you did. You've exceeded your body's ability to adapt. Now the question is, what is my ability to adapt, or what does that look like? It depends on your fitness level. It depends on your lifestyle. And it's a lot less than most people realize. The other route that feeds into this is how people tend to go into fitness when they first get motivated. You take the average 30-something-year-old who's like, I need to lose weight, I need to get in shape. And it usually comes from this place of, oh my God, I'm fat, I'm gross, I'm unattractive, I'm inadequate, whatever. So they kind of start hating themselves. So when they go to the gym, and here's what feels good when you hate yourself in the short term. It feels good to beat yourself up. It's cathartic to punish yourself in the gym. And how many times have you guys heard this from people? How was that workout? Oh my God, I barely crawled out. I almost threw up.
I crushed it.
Great workout. What? What do you mean great workout? Oh yeah, I could barely walk the next day. It was awesome. The reason why it feels cathartic is because you're punishing yourself because you hate yourself. You hate your body. And so it feeds into this. But again, not only is this less effective, it's actually the opposite of effective. It actually sends people backwards. This is where you get people with hormone issues. This will destroy testosterone levels in men. It'll cause HPA axis dysfunction in women and in men. It's where your estrogen and cortisol and progesterone are thrown off. You get thyroid issues from this if you push this for too long. The reason why this one's number one is because it's probably the biggest. It's besides people just not being consistent or not trying. When people actually do apply themselves, this is the roadblock that gets in their way, and this is what stops people from getting results.
It's the most common misconception, I think.
Yes. I think part of the problem is that they get some sort of positive feedback from it, right? Like, take somebody who has not been exercising at all, eating terrible, no workouts, no nothing at all. And then all of a sudden, New Year's resolution comes around and it's like,
and they go apeshit.
I'm going to go every day. That's going to be my new thing I'm not going to miss any days.
All in.
Right. Yeah. And so they train every day for a month. Now, at the end of that month, if they compared themselves to where they're at compared to where they were 2 months prior, so before they started, they would probably report back a fitter, healthier version of themselves. And so there's a bit of this like feedback that they get that is positive. Now, what they don't know is that they could have done a fraction of that work and been further than where they currently are.
Yes, and I'll add one thing to that, Adam. They're not healthier. So what happens with people when they do this that first month or two, because we've seen this, we manage gyms and we worked in gyms for decades. They will see the scale move, but their health hasn't improved. The problem is they're not gauging their success based off their health. They're gauging it off the scale. So if they really were paying attention, they'd be like, man, I feel like crap. I am tired. I am
but
burnt.
Sal, there's still some positive feedbacks from it. You could dramatically impact your VO2 max, for example, in a month's time.
Right.
So if that person did some sort of a test where they're like, I'm going to run a mile before I start.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're able to do. They'll be able to do a harder workout.
Yeah, they'll be able to do a better mile.
Right.
They'll be able to So if they before or their first time day one, they ran a 12-minute mile, and then by the end of that month, they're now running a 9-minute mile.
Right.
You think that you are dramatically improving.
Or moving in the right direction.
Yeah, you think you're moving in the right direction, and it's really hard to convince that person that you could have been a lot further doing a lot less. And in fact, they think that this is just because everyone talks about how hard it is and no pain, no gain, and no days off. This is how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to train this hard. And this is why people give up, is because they get that feedback and they go, okay, let's go month 2. And they go, and then eventually those returns
burns
diminish.
up. Yeah.
So that
Stops.
then it really starts to slow down. And then they're still telling themselves, man, this is what it takes. And then they finally go like, I don't even know if I really want this.
Yeah.
It's like
Nothing's happening anymore.
Yeah, I gotta train every day and push this hard, and I get this much
So the
results.
cycle of like emotions, it goes
So
through each
common.
one of those.
Yeah.
Today's program giveaways maps Powerlift. If you want that, leave a comment below this video. In the first 24 hours that we drop it, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. We also have a sale. The Shredded Summer Bundle and the Bikini Bundle. Two very popular bundles, both half off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code June50 for the discount. Here comes the show. I'll tell you guys, I got to tell the audience, like, we saw so many people like this in our gyms who were beating. I can pick them out, by the way, because I've been doing this for so long. I can pick them out a mile away. They're in the gym. They're sweating their butts off. They're working so hard. Nothing's changed for a long time. And they're going. Nothing's changed. They still have another 20 pounds to lose.
Yeah.
They're not getting more fit. They're not improving anything. And they're just beating themselves up, hoping that something magically is going to happen. And it doesn't. And instead what happens is they push hard. People who are really persistent with this, these are the people I feel bad for, because then they start to hit these hormone imbalances and these issues that start to backfire. And then they're like, why is my hair?
This used to be such a mystery to me as a new trainer.
Right.
You'd walk around, you'd see these people just going after it. And you're like, man, this person's like getting it. You know? And then you just see them day after day after day, and there's no progress. And then I was like, wow, it got depressing actually watching
Well, I used to chalk it up. This is what I used to think.
I know
used to
what you
think, man, these people must be eating fucking boxes.
They must
of
have
cookies.
the worst diet
They
ever.
must have the worst. They must go home and
eat donuts immediately
Yeah,
after
they must
this?
stop at McDonald's on the way home from here or
Seriously.
something, and that's just must be they must really struggle in nutrition, because they're definitely putting the work in to not be feeling and looking like the way they are. And so that was like what I just assumed. I assumed everybody was just so horrible with the diet.
These clients were both the best and worst clients. I'll start with why they were the worst. They were the worst because it was so hard to convince them that doing less would get them better results. They were so afraid of
bullheaded
of letting go, because they're like, well, if I'm doing all this work just to maintain the 15 pounds I initially lost, the second I cut it in half, oh my God, I'm going to go backwards completely, and then I'm going to be totally screwed. So they were the worst because I had to try to convince them. And eventually I got really good at convincing them. But once they got convinced, they were the best, because you said it.
Their life.
You said it in the beginning. This is what they would say, like clockwork. In fact, I actually used to do this with some of these clients. I would write on a piece of paper and I would date it and I'd fold it and I'd say, I'm going to save this and I'm going to tape it shut and I'm going to open it one day to show you something really cool. And they'd be, what are you talking about? Don't worry. And then the day would come, usually 60 days later, when I convinced them they're doing half as much work, they're eating more food, then they'd come to me and they'd say, this is weird. I don't know what's happening. Like, I'm getting leaner. My husband's commenting on things. I'm doing way less work. Then I'd open up the paper and I'd show them that they would say that. And it was like, boom. Now, selfishly, I did that to sell them more training. So I was like, look, I told you. Now you can hire me for a year.
Look at me, I'm a wizard.
But it was like clockwork that people have. We have callers all the time that call in. We have these follow-ups. All right, I did what you said, and I can't believe how much better I look and how much better I feel.
Yeah.
It's
predictable.
You have to think of your workouts like a prescription drug. Too little, you're not going to get the effect. Too much will kill you.
Yeah.
What determines the dose is your current fitness level and your lifestyle, meaning the other stresses in your life, your age, your all that stuff, and your current fitness level. And if you're doing it and you've only started, it doesn't take much to have the perfect dose. Not much to get the ball moving, but the perfect dose. And by the way, advanced people with fitness tend to do this as well, because they start with the perfect dose, and they slowly veer towards the max I could do, which takes away from the by the way, that's me all the time. It's something I always struggle with. All right, next up, carbs or fat. Those are the enemy. Now, this used to be fat, and then for a while it used to just be carbs. So when we first got into fitness, when I first became a trainer in the late 90s, that was like the tail end of the anti-fat,
non-fat milk and all that stuff,
campaign, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was super scared of fat, and it was really difficult convincing my clients, especially my female clients, to eat more fat. But when they did,
Butter was the enemy.
it was amazing at the hormonal effects and the skin effects and the benefits that they got, because fat's essential.
Do you guys, we say this a lot. I'm just sorry for interrupting you, but I want Doug to look something up while you're talking. Do you think that like for non-fat milk sales have dramatically increased or decreased since our time, or do you think it's stayed the same or maybe even increased?
No, I think it's declined.
Okay, so I would love to know if
non-fat has declined. Low fat, I think, might have been a little stable. Whole milk probably went up a bit.
So that's what I'm curious on,
especially when you look at the studies.
Because based off of what we're saying is that there was this huge craze around not taking in fat. I definitely know that was like staple when we were trainers, early trainers. So, and I feel like that's shifted to carbs and other things. And so it's no longer, we don't demonize fat like we used to, but are we seeing that in sales?
That's a great metric. Yes, sales of non-fat milk have generally declined compared to other types. Whole milk and 2% have seen a resurgence. Skim milk sales have been on their lowest level since 1960s.
Okay. So that is true.
I remember doing low fat just because I was like, I refused because it just the taste and everything else. I was like,
of non-fat, it's water.
Awful. Yeah. And then obviously I progressed to whole milk, but yeah, we did low fat.
We grew up on 2%. I mean, that's we are
same. Yeah. No, it's funny too because the studies come out showed that non-fat milk caused vitamin D deficiencies because they would add vitamin D to the milk. There's no fat, the fat soluble vitamin, and kids were getting all these deficiencies from it. Whereas whole milk, you absorb the fat soluble nutrients. Yeah, fat was the enemy for a long time. But fat is essential. If your fat is too low, your body's not functioning well. Yeah. Good luck trying to feel healthy. Good luck having healthy skin or hair. Good luck trying to burn body fat properly. Good luck having a good hormone profile if your fat is too low.
And this is so important that there's many, and we get this a lot on callers where we're talking to them for a while and they're giving us these signs that, man, they sound like they're deficient but they're doing everything else really well. Good balanced workout, good balanced diet.
What's your fat intake?
And then we hear their fat intake and they're like, 30 grams or 50 grams a day. And we're like, oh, wow, bump that.
Every meat is super lean.
And then it just from that, just like, they don't even have to change their macros that much or change anything going on with their routine. It's literally just giving their body, and then all of a sudden they report back.
Listen, if you could eat, you can eat 10,000 calories a day, but if you don't have enough fat, if you had a 10,000 calorie diet with 0 grams of fat, you're dead.
Yeah.
Your body starves.
I mean,
you die.
I love using I thought this was such a cool example for people to see this. Is what's that show called? Alone or Live?
Alone, I think.
And you've had contestants that had to go home and they had
starving to death.
They got a huge kill. They got like a
bunch of rabbits. Probably.
Yes, they had rabbit. Or they have all this, and you thought, oh my god, they got all this meat, and it was such lean cuts.
That's right.
That they literally they were going to fish.
They used to call that rabbit starvation, I think it was. Maybe Doug, you could look it up. This is where hunters would starve because all they could catch was rabbit, and rabbit's so lean. Yeah, they didn't get enough fat. No, you need fat to burn fat. You need fat to be healthy. You need fat to build muscle. You need fat to be alive. So that one now that one's not as big of a deal as it used to be. But what happened in the late 90s is you had the Atkins diet came out, and this was a doctor that came out that said, hey, fat's not the bad thing, it's carbs. He had people go 0 carb, bump their fat, and it was so opposite of the previous message that people adopted it and then saw great results. Now carbs are not essential, so you can definitely eat 0 carbs for the rest of your life and you won't die like you will from not having enough fat. However, they're not the enemy. Yeah. Carbohydrates, they're a preferred source of energy for athletic performance.
It's a great tool.
You want carbs for athletic performance. Building muscle is possible without carbs, but it's just way harder. Yeah. Good luck trying to do it.
It's also a super miserable way to live.
It's also
it's great immediate energy.
Let's just be honest. Like regardless of that, you could make it without it. It's so many things have carbs in it, and so many things that we enjoy. And we've talked about this before that. There is some hedonistic values to food that make sense at certain times. Like if you don't eat carbs, you're not having cake at your birthday. Like that's lame. Like, who wants to do that? You know what I'm saying?
You have a steak.
You're not gonna be able to take your 5-year-old son to his first movie and have popcorn with him. That's lame. Like who wants to?
It's also fruit.
Then the extreme. Yeah, I was gonna say the fruit. Like you meet people that are like they'll avoid it because there's carbs.
I remember when Atkins first came out, and it was like everybody's like, oh, I knew it. It was fat. They were lying to us. It wasn't fat. And then they were like, no, I can't eat that apple. It's got, it's got carbs.
Sugar, too much
I
sugar.
remember thinking to myself, like, that doesn't sound right.
There's so many nutrients and benefits.
Yes.
Like, come on.
If you want to burn body fat, so long as you hit your essential nutrients, although above essential in many cases is optimal, like protein, for example. But let's just put that aside. If you want to burn body fat, you just have to be in a calorie deficit. So, essential nutrients aside, it's a calorie deficit that causes fat loss. So it's not the carbs or the fats that make you gain body fat. It's excessive calories. So they're not the enemy. Now, carbohydrates, again, because they're not essential, my experience with clients is there's a wide individual variance with carbohydrates. This is the macro I play with, depending on the person.
Yeah.
Some clients feel great on much lower carbohydrates. Other clients feel great on much higher carbohydrates. And there seems to be a pretty wide spectrum with my clients. Fat, different. You need essential fat. But carbs, this is where you can move around a little bit.
Manipulate it a
That's
bit.
right.
I always felt that it's kind of your body kind of tells you that when you eat appropriately in the order we talk about, which is if you go after protein first, you get your healthy fats that you need to, and then the carbohydrates. It's like it almost takes care of itself.
That's right.
If you eat in that order, where it gets out of control is when you eat the carbs first, and then you fill up on that, and then you don't get enough of your protein or you don't get enough of your healthy fats. That's where you go wrong. If you just planned your meal out, forget that you're going to tell yourself how much carbs even, just go, I'm going to eat the protein, the healthy fats first, and then I'm going to make my way over the carbohydrates. It almost takes care of itself.
By the way, I got to just share this. Oftentimes when you eat a meal, it's typically served carbohydrates first. And people, I don't know if anybody wonders this, but I thought about this a long time ago. Like, why is that the order? Why is it the order, especially with old cultures like Italy or any, they serve the carbohydrates first? Why is that? So I read up and looked into it. And here's why. Meat was expensive. So sometimes that was all you ate. So all you ate sometimes was pasta or rice or bread. And that's why the meat tends to be saved towards the end. But the reality is,
it makes a lot of sense coming from we got to remember, we've only been living in this time of abundance for a fraction.
Yeah.
Very, very. So it makes sense for most of history. You did eat that, like
because that's all you had.
And it's like, I only get so many calories. We only have this. We have a ton of rice and pasta. You know what I'm saying? You can either have nothing or you can have that. It's like, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat a lot of it too. So it makes sense that we've done that for a long time.
I remember my grandfather explaining this to me, like a staple. My family's from Italy, right? Sicily, which was like the poorest part of Italy. And I remember talking to my grandfather, and I love pasta with sauce. Don't get me wrong. It's delicious. Homemade sauce is amazing. And I remember telling my grandfather, like, why is that such a staple meal? Why did you guys eat this so often? He goes, it's cheap.
Yeah.
He goes, sometimes that's all we, a lot of times that's all we had. Tomatoes are cheap. We could grow them.
So
Pasta's cheap.
Us Mexicans eat rice all the time. You make it in rice and beans. Rice and beans is cheap and
what was Justin's,
a lot
potatoes?
of volume. Potatoes, right? Seriously.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, if you go back, if you trace it back to all of our ancestors, like that would be that was the purpose of those foods. It wasn't just necessarily because you liked them or whatever, but it was like you could eat a lot of it. It's right.
My grandfather said they would eat meat once a week because it was so expensive.
Wow, little.
Yeah, once a week if they were lucky, they would have meat.
So I mean, maybe that's why too we're in this position is like, and I guess that's a good reminder even for us. Is just like, honestly, we are battling against hundreds of years of history of eating a certain way.
Culture. It's a brand new problem.
Yeah, and it's like this, and really even in our time, it's only been a major problem for like 50 years, maybe 40, 50 years. It's become new. Because we have so much processed foods in abundance that now it's like, we need to really rethink.
Now you can prioritize protein.
Yeah, we need to rethink that. It wasn't like that for the most.
No, you won't die from eating too little nowadays, but you'll probably die from obesity. And so the priority with your meal is protein first. Yeah. Then you can eat and protein typically comes with fats, then eat your carbohydrates. All right, next one. This one still exists, which is spot reduction. Okay. I cannot choose a part of my body that I want to burn body fat off of and then exercise in a particular way to burn body fat from that area.
Yeah.
That's not how fat loss works. Your body looks at all of your body fat as a reserve, and it pulls from the body fat in the areas that it wants to. Now, what determines where your body pulls body fat energy from is genetics and hormone profile. If I train my abs, I'm not going to burn more fat around my abs. It's going to come from where my body wants to reduce it from. Now, you can spot develop. So here's the good news. I'll give you guys the good news, especially with strength training. I can take a body part and develop it through strength training, which can give it the appearance of looking leaner. Like a leg that has muscle and body fat looks leaner than a leg that has no muscle and body fat. So that may be why this myth continues to live. But no, you can't spot reduce. So doing a bunch of exercise for area doesn't make body fat
There's
come off that
a
area.
very specific avatar that I think of right away, and I know you guys have seen it in the gym for many, many years, is the client who would come in and remember those assisted sit-up machines?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they would spend the whole hour
Just doing that.
rocking. On
rocking
that
here,
bench.
legs up, side.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
For hours.
For an hour. An hour. You know what I'm saying? And just like a big old beer belly going on. And it's like, that is not going to get
They're like,
you.
I feel it burn
chipping
though.
away.
Yeah.
It's also that we say burn fat, so they feel the burn in that area. So like, that's where I'm burning the fat.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. If you want to change how your body stores body fat, you have to either change your parents, which you can't, so your genetics, but you can change your hormone profile. So as women get older, if their estrogen starts to drop, or if your cortisol is elevated for too long, this is both in men and women, you can store more body fat in your midsection. Low testosterone, men will start storing body fat more like a woman. So hormones can affect that, but the best way to affect your hormones, aside from hormone therapy, is to be healthy and fit. But you can't choose an area and burn body fat off of it. You just can't do that.
Nope.
All right, next, this one I love, which is you need hours in the gym. I need to do hours in the gym. Not true at all. We'll speak just to strength training, because the strength training is the one form of exercise, unless you have a specific endurance goal or something like that. Strength training is really the only structured form of exercise that people need to do. When I say people, I'm talking about people who want to be more fit, more healthy, look better, but really just live a good life. So they're not like bodybuilders. They're not like long distance runners. They're not athletes. They're just like, look, I want to get fit and healthy so I can have a great life. The structured part of their workouts is strength training. That's the one that you need to plan. And I'm not going to this is 100% true. All the data in the world will support it, plus all of our experience. You need not much. Literally, the average person, a couple days a week, 45 minutes, perfect. And that'll take you very far.
This is one of those things I just like all the time keep, it's so crazy to think about, like doing less is going to move the needle more. And it keeps playing out. If you establish a good foundational strength, like what you can do after that, it's like, it's just mind boggling. Even self-experimenting, doing less and then being able to see how much more progression I get and strength and muscle development. But it's just, we don't think in that direction ever. Cause again, we always bring this up cause like work and everything else, like life is so opposite, to that. So, but the body is such an adaptation machine, and we have to realize that we're dealing with something different. We have to apply the right amount that you need.
Fitness is more like baking a cake than it is like work or getting good at a sport.
Yeah.
And that's hard to wrap your brain around it because it's a physical activity.
It's like making a cake and you're like 1 cup of flour. You're like, I'm going to add 2. It's
that's what I mean. And that's what I mean by that. Think about that for a second. Most people relate fitness closer to like playing a sport or work when it's actually closer to making a cake.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't compute for the average person, but it is. And what I mean by making a cake is that there's an actual formula and recipe to bake a good cake.
Right.
And any more or less of those things doesn't make a great cake.
Takes you away.
And the more you pile onto, the worse it gets. Like you just keep piling too much flour and it doesn't have the right balance of eggs, and it's going to be terrible or it won't even work.
Our most popular program to date, with the greatest reviews and the most surprising emails. I mean, surprising from the people themselves. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Is
MAPS
our
15.
MAPS 15 program.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, it's
even from advanced lifters.
It is 15 to 20 minutes a day. That's it. And everybody's like, I can't believe it. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Do you want to improve your squat without injuries? Do you want to have a stronger squat? Do you want to have a deeper squat? We have a free How to Squat Like a Pro guide. It's totally free, and you can get it right now. In it, we describe details, exercises, techniques, and ways you can improve your squat so that you start to squat like a pro. You can get it for free right now if you click on the link in the description below.
Now, I have a theory on, because that's so true. I mean, it's surpassed everything that we've done, and obviously, if you actually listen to a podcast that's about fitness, you're probably more about it than the average person, right? And so I think we've attracted a community of people that are fitness, enthusiasts, or at least want to be fitness enthusiasts, right? Like, you're not only going to the gym, you're also listening to your fitness podcast. Like, you want to be that person. And so we tend to get a subset of people that are more likely probably to over apply than to not. And I know that's why sometimes people hear that advice that we give and they get so like, ugh, those guys, like, that's crazy. Look at all the people that are sitting on their couch and doing nothing. Like, that's terrible advice. It's like, well, that's not really who's listening to this podcast. Like, very few people are actually probably nobody right now is sitting on the couch. This would be funny to get an email or somebody
or who doesn't pursue fitness.
Who's pounding some cake right now listening to the podcast. Like, it's just,
there's one guy right now.
He's like, oh,
he
shit.
just stopped halfway.
Dude.
It would be funny to get there. But I mean, most of the people probably right now are walking on a treadmill or in the middle of the gym workout right now, or on their way to, like, that's what we get, right?
Yeah, one thing I got to add to this, by the way, is because people, when they hear me say or hear us say, you only need, 2 days a week, 45 minutes or 15 minutes a day or whatever, what they think we're talking about is activity. No, I'm talking about workouts.
No, workout.
Daily activity is good.
Yeah.
Like, walk, 10,000 steps, 15,000 steps a day. That's good for you.
That's healthy. Yeah.
I'm talking about workouts, structured workouts. You don't need hours in the gym to progress. In fact, the best data that we have on strength training with college-aged experienced males. So that might not even be you, right? So if you're in your 40s, like, it's even less than what I'm about to say. The vast majority of results that they get from strength training comes from 3 days a week. When they add more, the results become massively diminishing. So it's like 85% of the results they're going to get comes from 3 days a week. Then they add another day a week, another 5%. Then they add another day a week, 3%. It's very, very diminishing results. By the way, when you see bodybuilders training so long, they're pro bodybuilders. Yes, of course, they're training as much as they are, but they even understand if they do too much. In fact, I remember in the 90s, there was a huge revolution in pro bodybuilding, because up until the mid 90s or early 90s, bodybuilders were just more. Then you had Dorian Yates, who changed the game, who was doing, his workouts were 1/10 of what the other workouts were. Now, they were intense, but they were like so much less. And he changed the game. And to this day, now bodybuilders now really understand this delicate balance.
I mean, this is the time and temperature of baking the cake. You know what I'm saying? The more and the hotter you run it, the better.
Imagine if someone's like, "Oh, this is perfect. Let's just keep cooking it. It's going to come out better."
Yeah, I mean, that's back to that analogy of this is more like baking a cake. It is. There's a right temperature. There's a right time to do it. Which would be your balance of how many days and the intensity that you use. And there is a sweet spot to make the best cake. And you can get away with a couple degrees up or down, right? Or couple minutes too long or not long enough, you can get away with a little bit. But the longer you extend that out, the worse this cake's going to taste, man. You start applying way more temperature and way more days,
the structure of it will
burn the shit out of it. It's going to be terrible. So there is a sweet spot that is ideal for baking that perfect cake.
Lastly, it's that supplements have this massive effect on my progress, that supplements are somehow the answer. Now, here's why this one exists, okay? When you look at the industry of fitness or fat loss or health or all that stuff, right? If you look at the industry, it's an industry.
Yeah.
Meaning it needs to generate revenue. It exists because it's able to generate revenue. If there was no revenue generated, the industry would shrink and almost
be an industry.
disappear.
It'd be a hobby.
Now, when you look at the industry, what generates revenue are consumable products.
Yep.
Okay, that's just a fact. So the information that's put out by the industry tends to be geared towards products that they can sell.
Yep.
So what you have is a disproportionate amount of information geared towards products you can buy. Okay, so this creates just this distorted effect.
Overemphasizing it.
So it's a distorted effect. And it's not that they're evil. Some of them are. It's not that they just want money, don't care about you, although some of them do. It's just that a lot of the information is geared towards consumable products. So when you go and you read up about fitness, 8 out of 10 articles are going to be about
Right.
stuff you can take. Even diet articles you're going to read about, you're going to see them talk about supplements. Training articles talk about exercise. They throw in supplements. So you get this belief as a consumer that, wow, supplements make a big difference.
What's going to really tip you over to buy it? You know, it can't just be like, they can't be like super honest with it's going to, you know, make a little bit of a difference.
Supplements do very little, unless you need a nutrient that you're deficient in, which is different. That's like a medical issue. Even the most amazing, powerful, data-backed supplement, creatine, okay? Creatine has all the studies. Like you look at all the studies that support supplements, creatine is in a completely different category. Yeah. You know what's going to add to your progress? 2%. Yeah. And by the way, that's a lot in comparison to other supplements.
Yeah.
But it's nothing in comparison to lifestyle, exercise, diet,
everything
sleep.
else you need to highlight
That's
first.
right. So I would say don't even waste your time unless, you know, you like them, you enjoy them, you're doing the other stuff right. It helps you stay motivated, whatever. But supplements don't do much at all. And by the way, I'm saying this as a host of a podcast that's sponsored by supplement companies. It's the absolute truth.
I mean, I've always positioned it with clients that if you have the expendable income and you like to take stuff like that and experiment with it, then why not? Because there is plenty of research to support that they have value and they work. But when you think of all the things that we're going to talk about and I'm going to do with you when I'm training you, it matters like nothing. Yep. It really matters. I mean, I can take that same client and we can fast forward 3 months of perfect dieting, training, sleeping, and doing all the things. Both versions. One version used supplements and one didn't, and you wouldn't see a difference.
No,
you would not be able to tell. So both clients, identical situation. The only difference is one took supplements and the other one didn't. You would not visually be able to see a difference, and more likely than not, they wouldn't even be able to feel.
You would be able to visually see a smaller wallet in the person that used a bunch of supplements.
Yes.
You know, later
fix their posture because their wallets.
Early in my career, I pushed supplements because this is what we were encouraged to do, working in gyms. Later in my career, very, very few of my clients that I encouraged to take supplements, and they were the ones that were like really into it. Like Doug. Doug, when he was my client, he never missed a workout. He ate right. He was really to the point where now he's, you know, part owner of a fitness podcast with us, right? He was fun to have experiment with supplements because he likes that kind of stuff. Yeah. But 9 out of 10 of my clients, like, I don't, unless it's a nutrient deficiency, I was like,
well, and that's where it is a fun thing to do is when they're already doing the big rocks, and it's like, hey, let's add this, see if you feel it or notice it, and it's more like that than it, because if you're not sleeping well, you're not training correctly, and your diet is shit, like talk about a complete waste of money.
The vast majority of supplements are outperformed by the placebo effect. That's a fact. That's an actual literal fact. So they're not the difference between success and failure. So don't waste your time, again, unless there's a nutrient deficiency, in which case it makes a difference. Speaking of which, vitamin D, very cheap. You can go to the store, you can buy it. It costs almost nothing. Very inexpensive. Vitamin D is a supplement in its own category, mainly because it's such a common deficiency. I brought up the latest studies. I'll read to you guys right now. The latest studies on vitamin D, and it's not because vitamin D is magic. It's just because it's so commonly a deficiency, or even more commonly, we're not getting optimal amounts. So we might not have a deficiency, but we're not getting the amount that is optimal for us. Remember, consider we evolved really being out in the sun quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, so we were always out in the sun before, and now we're just so often not that this has become a problem. But I found one study that was in 2024, this European Journal of Cancer, showing that people who took vitamin D or had adequate vitamin D levels had a dramatic reduction in cancer and overall cancer risk. There was another one with biological aging. This one just got published in 2025 from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Supplementing with 2,000 IUs of vitamin D reduced the measurable effects we can see on like our DNA and stuff of aging. So it seemed to slow down cellular aging. Another one shows dementia. Vitamin D supplementation was associated with a 40% lower risk of dementia in adults, which is pretty crazy. It's 2024. These are all recent studies. Yeah. This one was done in Switzerland. This was out of Lausanne, it's called. Vitamin D deficiency was linked to an increased likelihood of all cardiovascular events. And then lastly, vitamin D and immune response. It has a profound effect on the immune system. But again, it's not that vitamin D is magic. It's that we're so often vitamin deficient that you probably should supplement with this very inexpensive stuff. I think it's $10. We'll probably buy you a bottle of vitamin D that will last 2
My
months.
favorite part about this advice is what I recently had found out from you was that I could take 7 days worth in one day and then not take it so. This has been
fat soluble.
Oh man, this has been a huge hack for me because I always knew that I was supposed to be taking like 5 to 10,000 IU's is what was recommended to me from my doctor.
Yeah. By the way, you get your blood tested, so you see where it brings you.
Yeah, right. So I originally was taking 5, and then I was still low, so doctor recommended 10. And so, and I've admitted that I'm just inconsistent when it comes to taking supplements every single day. I didn't realize that I could just take 5 of those pills in one day, and then
you're
it's
done
like
for the week.
So now the way I look at it is like I've got it in my room. And I try and remember. I try and remember to do it daily. I don't. And then I go, oh shit, I haven't taken that in like 3 days. So I'll take 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just I didn't realize I could do that and still reap the max benefits from it. It's like, oh my God, that's easy. So it's not a hard one either to take, and you can make up for it if you're not taking enough.
The range of deficiency is between people. Some are like some categories or groups of people are 80% deficient, which is below what is necessary. So like African Americans, 80% of them are deficient in vitamin D because they produce less when they're out in the sun. If you're really pale, you're probably still deficient, just not as a high. By the way, that's deficient, not optimal. When you go to optimal, you're probably looking at most people. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
I use my dad as an example all the time. My dad had all these strange symptoms of pain. Thought it was age. Thought it was arthritis. We're Sicilian, right? So we have darker skin. But my dad was always outside. My dad's outside doing yard work and stuff like that. He's outside more than most people. And he had all these weird symptoms. Doctor finally, after prescribing pain medicine, this and that, let's just test your nutrient levels. He was severely deficient in vitamin D.
You wouldn't think that would be, the cause of pain typically.
No, crazy stuff. Anyway, good. Along those lines, I was looking up other studies on forever chemicals. Boy, these things suck, guys. These forever chemicals. Oh yeah, dude, it's terrible.
I've heard stuff.
And speaking of those, we got our place pans. I got mine yesterday. I didn't open them up yet.
They make them without forever chemicals.
Yeah,
and they last a long time. They're super high quality. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I was telling Justin about we all got ours, and I hadn't opened up what Katrina ordered, but Justin was telling me they have other stuff too.
Yeah, they have like
air fryer,
air fryer,
skillets. They have all kinds of stuff.
Has steam infused.
Bro, some of the highest,
so cool.
Will you pull
forever
their website up? I want to see. I thought I had already gone through, but
some of the highest forever chemical containing cooking products are pans, and even more than that, air fryers.
Really?
Air fryers are through the roof.
No idea.
Now, of course, our place doesn't use forever chemicals. All their stuff is forever chemical free. But
I'm glad mine died.
I know. I'm going to throw mine out now.
I requested it because it was like,
oh yeah, look at that.
They got one of those little toaster ovens too?
Yep.
Oh.
Did you check this out, guys? 45% of U.S. tap water is contaminated with forever chemicals.
45%?
Yep. Urban areas, 75%.
Wow.
I mean, doesn't that make everybody angry? Like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, dude. And they
have way more products than I thought they did.
Yeah. They have great stuff. And again, forever chemical free, and they last a long time. Super, super high quality.
One of the newer brands that we partnered with that I like, it's always cool when we find brands. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be neat, whatever.
And you get it,
and then we get it, and then it ends up being
it's like high quality,
and our audience like
stylish.
Yeah,
like
and
cool.
I had a lot of our audience that was already onto them before we were, and I'm like, I wasn't even aware. But they have bowl, they have everything.
Yeah, dude.
I did not realize how much stuff they.
But between the forever chemicals and the microplastics, this has been on my radar, dude. I'm just like, let's get rid of this shit.
Do you know how much I spend on water? Because I get it delivered, but I get the glass containers.
The glass, yep.
And I looked at the bill the other day, and I'm like, oh my God.
This is why in the new place, that was like a must, was to build a filtration, build it into the house, because I was going through so much bottled water, dude. And you were having it delivered. I was going and having to fill it up every time. And I was like, this is so annoying to have to do this all the time.
It's crazy.
So worthwhile investment to put it in your house, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so worth it.
Did you do the shower head?
No, I just did
under the sink one?
Yeah. I just did it under the sink, similar to what we have here, where it's got its own RO and all that stuff stuff like that. So yeah, no,
dude, I got to ask you guys. Well, I'll go first, so you guys have some time to think. But are there things in your life that are just idols that you just have struggled with, kind of breaking down, or you have trouble with them? So I'll start with me. I don't know if you guys have any, but you guys know my working out, right? Working out for me is a struggle. It's an idol. And it's an idol meaning something that you value too highly, right? It's too high on the priority list. And what happens is it becomes like a god, and it's a terrible god. Everything but God is a terrible god. It'll tyrannize you. And I had an experience this morning that was just, I got really frustrated with myself. So my wife wakes up early with this like terrible migraine, and she gets these sometimes, right? Not as often as she used to, but they're so bad that she literally pulls her hair and will vomit. Like it's so bad that she's like writhing, and it's hard to watch. It's almost like a cluster headache. I don't know if you've ever seen those before.
Yep.
It's really, really bad. Yeah. And so I'm trying to tend to her and care for her. And it's so bad that giving her medicine, like ibuprofen, moving to take the medicine is too painful. So it's like she has to sit there, and I'm like, how can I get this ibuprofen in her mouth so that in 40 minutes she can maybe use the bathroom?
Brutal.
Yeah, because she's going to throw up or whatever.
Yeah.
So it took all morning. As a result, I'm not going to work out, which is fine. My wife's way more important. However, on the way, I find myself just angry and frustrated, not towards my wife, but just
because you missed your workout.
Yeah, dude. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm letting this just rule me. It's like, this is still an idol that I'm, and it's way better than it used to be.
I don't know, Sal.
But it really pisses me off.
I don't know, Sal. What comes to mind for me, and it's been a long journey for this, I've watched, is just materialistic things.
Yeah.
I like nice things. I always have. I'm sure a lot of that is stemmed.
It's better than it used to be.
Oh, it's way better.
Yeah.
It's way better. But what I'm getting to is that I don't think it will ever not be a conversation for you. I think if it was ever something like that for you, it will be a lifelong,
of course,
work towards it, right? Like it just, at least that's what it is for me. Like and I've told you, I've learned like ways that I've shared this before on the podcast.
So step one is awareness, right?
Right. So becoming aware of that was a big thing. Then setting rules and boundaries and things up for myself. I've brought up before where if I want something, right, like I just say, hey, if I still want it tomorrow, I'll get it. And then the second test was, do I get this and do I want to go show it to everybody else, or is it something I can keep to myself? Question. Yeah. And so if I can pass those tests, then it's like, because because here's the challenge, just like you, is like fitness and working out is a good thing. So it's not like
success and wealth,
right? So it's not like you don't want it exactly. And having success and things is not inherently evil, but it is to worship it or idol it, right, or put it above all these other things. And so I figured it out, and then I went, okay, well, how do I still have balance with it? Because I do still enjoy some of those things. So those have been the big tests, and I get tested all the time where it's like, oh, I really want this thing, and then I go, okay, well, let's wait till tomorrow. Yeah. Do I still really want that thing? Many times it goes away, and it's like, oh, that was just a temporary desire or need, right, or want. And then after that, the next test is like, okay, I'm going to buy this thing that I still want today. It's like, do I feel like I need to post about it or go show it to other people? Because then is it really for me, or is it me wanting to show that I have this? And so those have been, and I have to have that conversation all the time, all the time. So
no, you're right. I think you're 100% right. What's yours, Justin? Cheese?
Sex and drugs.
Sex and drugs.
Those are common, dude.
Fucking rock star.
Levels.
Such a rock star.
I mean, there's honesty in that, you know, like it's, and I've worked through both, like, and really the drugs it's just like, it's alcohol and edibles. And for me, it's like the feeling. And so I'll get snappy if like I start to, it's more frequent, and I get into this relaxed mindset. I can disassociate, from like stuff going on, and can actually be in a better calm state. So I associate it with this calm state of mind, and then being a better person around my family.
Isn't it funny how we sell ourselves?
Yeah, I sold myself on that many times, and checked myself hard, because then when I was just interacting and get home from work and I'm trying to be calm, like I had a really hard time, because it'd get like just all of this frustrated energy, and just like I had to I had to realize that like, wow, I'm now feeling this pull that I didn't feel before. So yeah, I'd been working through that and then definitely backed off quite a bit. And then it sneaks up when the stress is like way up here and it comes back. So that's been a fight. Sex has just been a thing that's just, it's just, I'm really driven and it's like, I want it. And I'm always like, I'm competitive, so I'm like, where's the angle I can promote? Like, it's a win or it's a loss for me every day, and I had to stop doing that. Like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't a win or a loss every day.
Wow, that's so good, dude.
But but it's real. Like, and I had to constantly communicate with my wife about this, and try to not, give that energy off and like, make her feel like, oh my God, this is like, I don't want you to be in a bad mood or, I'm like, I don't want to put that on you.
Yeah. You don't want pity sex either. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want it. Yeah. I want enjoyable, like
connected
time, intimacy.
Yeah. Bro,
intimacy is different than sex.
I'm having such a huge realization right now. So last night I prayed with my wife. We pray together every night. And she did the dreaded, and after she did it, we finished. I said, amen. I looked at her. I'm like, did you really just say that? She prayed for us to be humbled. And I'm realizing what happened this morning is we both got humbled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she hasn't had pain for a long time.
So now you can
she's had lots of energy.
Now you can come home and blame it on her.
And I haven't. No, it's not a bad thing.
No.
It's not a bad thing. And I got a little cocky. So I'll tell you, this is the good news. But what you're saying is right. So true, Adam. Like, it's a daily. You have to die to yourself every day, right?
Yeah.
Every day you're gonna move away from what's most important, and every day you're gonna have to die to yourself. And I had this great, and it is moving in the right direction. So I'll say that. And I had this great. The other day I'm working out, and I've been praying over working out, or I'm praying over body, muscle building, all that stuff. Like, I need help with this. I don't want to change this. Those kind of prayers. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to worship music, which started early on in my faith, which I found was strange because I've always listened to the same hard metal, angry, and I just all of a sudden started listening to worship music. I find myself in between sets reading scripture, praying, or texting my friends about like faith-based stuff, and I realized that very gently, God took my worship Sal time and has started to shift it to worship Him time, and so now here's the humbling part. I felt real good about it. Oh yeah, my workouts are worship Him time. This is great. It's all about worshiping Him. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. And this morning, what happens? I miss my workout, and I'm angry and frustrated because of the workout, not because of that. So, and I'm like, thanks, honey, for praying for that. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
If you pray for getting humbled, you will get humbled.
Yeah, I believe that it. At least I've accepted that it'll probably be there forever. It does get easier, and you get quicker at becoming aware of it, right? So maybe it will never end. That moment like that doesn't happen for you. That it doesn't create some sort of like, but you'll be quicker and quicker to like, oh, I know what's going on right now. Like, okay, and then you can work towards it, because I think that, or at least that's what it's been like for me. Is my journey with that has been an ongoing battle. I've gotten better and quicker about recognizing it and seeing it either before it happens or while I'm in it. Like, oh, this is one of those things. This isn't really about something for me. This is really about others and how others perceive me or whatever. It's like, that's wrong reason. And then you take a left,
totally.
right?
All right, I'm gonna speak of take a left. I'm gonna take a left. I looked up our partner Vuori. I looked up their history of reviews. By the way, they were founded in 2015, so they've been around now for 10 years. They have over 60,000 5-star super positive reviews.
Wow.
And I
backing them up.
I looked it up in comparison to other comparable competitive companies, and in that time frame, they above and beyond surpass other companies in terms of
that athlete.
Yes, in terms of their reviews, they absolutely kill it. Absolutely. And by the way, I see them now all over the place. Remember when they had that one store?
They're everywhere.
I was at what is that, Stanford Shopping Center up there? They have one there.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in and I see competitors, and then I go to Vuori and they're full.
Yeah.
They're packed.
Yeah.
They
in high
they
demand.
have made in 10 years. They went from like nobody knew them to
I mean, it was such a cool.
It's just quality. Dude.
It was a cool deal for us to partner with them so early.
when did we partner with them?
9 years ago, 8-9 years ago.
It was
They
right
had
after they started.
You know that
Right
they
at-
had.
yeah.
You know that at
Maybe a
that
year
time
in.
It was
okay,
just an online company. Right?
Joe had not. They had one store or two
Encinitas.
stores. But at that time, they had not invested or spent any money on real marketing and advertising. No commercials, no podcasts, no ads. They were just organically growing, and they were still I would say probably bootstrapped at that time. And so them stepping out and investing in us as a partner and a brand was new to them. And we introduced them to the podcasting space. And I do remember there was a time when I could see a fit person wearing Vuori, and I thought, oh, they listen to Mind Pump, you know, and I could go say hi to them or what that. It is not like that whatsoever. I mean, I see Vuori everywhere. I mean, they're every time I'm in the airport, everywhere. Their
top products are the performance joggers, core shorts, because I was looking this up, and the Meta pants. These are the ones that people just.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ones.
Meta's my favorite.
Meta's the one I always get. So.
And now they have the Meta for the shorts, which is like even better.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I know the Cord's like their main ones, but
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I love the
I have their
Metas.
Meta joggers right now. I mean, I love their joggers. Their joggers are all my favorite.
Because you
but-
jog so often.
he's a big jogger.
I love a bit of irony there, right?
Element is the best electrolyte powder anywhere. No artificial sweeteners, no sugar. It tastes great. It's the best one. It's the top one. By the way, they have a new flavor, lemonade salt. Delicious, no calories. Go check them out. Go to drinklmnt.com/mind pump. On that link, you'll get a free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
Our first question is from Fulvio Castle. Any tips to specifically target triceps during close grip bench presses?
Yes, I like this question because a narrow grip, it will activate the triceps more, but it doesn't automatically just hit the triceps more. In fact, you could do a close grip bench press and make it all delts.
Sure.
Just by the positioning of where your hands go as you lower the bar. So anytime you're trying to hit a specific body part, I think it's important, whether you understand anatomy or not, literally look up the action of a muscle. And so what the tricep does is it extends the elbow, okay? So for my tricep to get work, it has to go from bent arm to straight arm. It's called, elbow extension. So with a close grip bench press, when you're lowering the bar, if you want to use more tricep, then you bring the hands back a little bit and allow the elbows to bend more. If I bring the bar way down here and I get minimal bend in the elbow, then most of the action is going to be at the delts, which brings my
Especially if
arm.
your delts are protracted a bit.
That's right. So the way I like to close grip bench is, first of all, I don't go too close with my wrist because that, or my hands, because that can be not so great on my wrist. I'll grab a close grip that's right about shoulder or slightly within shoulder width. Then when I lower the bar, I make sure to bring the hands a little higher on my chest, which allows for that.
Knuckles come back a little bit more
So I
towards
teach
you.
I teach even. Wrists in line with the elbows guide right down
Yep.
rib cage.
Yep.
And so I want your elbows
so
tucked
they
as
don't
tight as you
flare.
can. So you should feel your rib cage as you come down, and your wrist should be in line with that.
Yeah.
You could go
A little more narrow.
You could go more narrow, but I mean, it's
the same.
Same.
Yeah.
So you going here,
There's no point to
any
that.
wider is going to put stress on the shoulder. So it's literally straight down, and then in full range, right? So can you get the bar all the way down
Yep.
to your right, like your sternum or whatever,
Yep.
and then extend it. But yeah, absolutely, you're right. If you flare the elbows all out wide and go too wide of a grip, now you're almost like some guys bench press that
Yeah,
way.
it's a lot more
some guys
chest
bench,
involved,
most guys bench. Some guys bench with a closer grip. And press that way, and so you got a lot more chest and shoulders.
Now
in.
you could technically get a lot of triceps with your elbows flared out because the elbow bend, but your wrists don't like that. So that lateral bend in the wrist, this is where people will say, oh God, close grip bench press hurts my wrist. And it's because your elbows are flaring out and or you're grabbing
this is also why I like to do close grip bench press on a incline opposed to a flat bench.
It encourages that.
Yeah, it encourages that, and you get like a deeper range of motion. So as that comes down, you can really pull down. Versus if I'm on a flat bench, a lot of times people have a hard time retracting, depressing, coming all the way back, and so you just get a deeper, fuller range. I've always felt it better in the triceps doing it that way, but yeah, no, the details matter. Like if that's the goal, if the goal is to work the triceps more. And then honestly too, just your mental focus on it.
Like literally, by the way, they've done studies on this, Adam. People thinking of the muscle while they're exercising alone increases activation.
This is so powerful that I can show you same hand position, same everything position, and feel one of them in my shoulders and chest and the other one in my arms.
And it's literally in your head.
Yeah, it's just in my head, just by knowing it. Now, again, that's years of training and understanding how to activate certain muscles, but that's how important it is for you to think about what muscle you're trying to work and not just going through the movement. And then, of course, taking the tips that we just gave will help that, but focusing on it too.
By the way, like the reason why thinking of a muscle while you exercise has been shown, again, in studies, they can actually show muscle activation. The reason why that increases activation is because the signal that's going to your body to move is from your brain. Yeah. So literally thinking of the muscle is a very easy, simple way of you activating that muscle even more.
So when I used to teach this, I would actually take them on the bar path, and then at the bottom of it, I would actually hold the weight and then tell them, hold it with your tricep. And then I wouldn't let it. Don't press it up until you're holding it with your tricep. Yeah. They'd be like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Flex your tricep and now hold the way with it until that light switch on." Like, oh, okay, I'm holding. Okay, great. Now this is at the bottom of this rep. I want you to feel always controlling this tricep. Now flex it harder as you press up. Yep. And then that would get them to kind of understand that. Otherwise, if you just move the bar path, the shoulders, the chest, all those other secondary muscles will try and support because it's advantageous for those bigger muscles to help support a movement like that. So you have to really learn how to concentrate on resisting the weight with your triceps and then flexing it.
And I will say this, just that I'm a fan of the close grip bench press. I think it's great for tricep development, yes. But from a functional standpoint, it's a very functional pressing exercise. I mean, when I was a grappler, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, it's not often that you're moving people away from you with your hands out here. In fact, in jiu-jitsu, this is a death sentence. If I bring my hands out here, I'm just asking to get arm locked or a Kimura lock or something like that, right? Typically, you're pushing people off you with your hands inside your body. And I found the close grip bench press to be just the carryover was amazing.
Next question is from Morgan B. Peterson. How do I learn to rest and recover when my greatest assets are hard work, grit, and overachieving?
You know, what's funny about this is
your greatest strength is your greatest weakness.
Yeah, and not just that, but what we tend to do is we tend to look at what helps us achieve the thing we're after as the thing that we're actually after. In other words, hard work, great. But why is it great? It produces a result. Yeah. So it's like, hey, why are you outside digging a hole and filling it back up and digging a hole, filling it back up? Because I like hard work. Nobody ever does that, right? Like, what are you doing? There's no point there, right? Unless the point is just to exercise or whatever. So hard work and grit are great because of what they can produce. If you're overtraining, what are you getting out of it besides just doing more? You're not getting any more fitness benefit or health benefit. It's actually the opposite. You're just doing more for the sake of doing more. So I think the key with this is to say, what am I after with this hard work? What am I after? How can I take this discipline that I have and make it work for me? Now, if your goal is, I just like to occupy myself, all right, well, find a way to occupy yourself where you'll get more benefit. Because if you over-apply hard work and grit to exercise, if you over-apply intensity or duration or volume or whatever, you'll go backwards. You won't get the great results.
I mean, this is a great opportunity to learn about human behavior. This is your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. Mm-hmm. This is in all aspects of life. You name it. You name somebody that has this ultimate strength, and I'll tell you where that ends up also being a weakness in their life. And you have to be able to look at that duality, is be able to go like, hey, I know this is a great attribute of me, but then what are some of the bad things that come with that? Well, in this case, you're a recipe for overworking, overtraining, undereating, underresting, right? So that's what happens for somebody who trains really hard, works really hard, and that's their greatest asset. So I think there's something to be, not just in this conversation right here, but learning how to look at that in all aspects of your life, is that your greatest strength is your greatest weakness.
And you can use that as a focus of like, the work is to be mentally disciplined, to allow yourself to rest and recover and to sit in that.
Yes.
And that's the hard work for you right now.
That's
You've
right.
proven you can do hard work and physical hard work.
What a great point.
But you haven't
It's
proven that to yourself
I'm a
yet.
hard worker. What's harder for you right now? Doing more exercises or actually taking a break?
Right.
Oh, taking a break is harder work. Well, you're such a hard
That's the
worker.
work.
That's right.
Go in that direction.
Reframe it.
That's right.
Next question is from B Savage 83. What are the long-term side effects of TRT?
This is a great question, and we need to paint the context before we can answer this. TRT stands for testosterone replacement therapy. Now, the kind of person that is on testosterone replacement therapy is the person, and this is when it's appropriate, okay? This is the person who is deficient or has a deficiency in testosterone. So hormones are important in the body, and they're drivers of different functions of the body. And testosterone is a very important hormone for both men and women. If you are deficient in testosterone, the side effect of getting your testosterone levels to optimal levels through replacement therapy is better health, okay? Because a deficiency of testosterone is not good for you. If you are deficient in testosterone, you are more likely to have heart disease. You're more likely to be depressed. You're more likely to have osteoporosis, osteopenia, infertility. You're more likely to have a whole host of health issues, including chronic pain and chronic health issues, including some cancers. A lot of people think, that testosterone might drive certain cancers. No. You actually are at a higher risk with low testosterone for certain types of cancers. So the side effects of getting your testosterone levels optimized
It's a healthier version of
is
you.
you're just healthier. Now, the reason why some people may have some, they're on testosterone and they're like, things are going south, is because they're not on replacement therapy.
Right.
They're pushing the limits. I know what that's like because that's what I do. You push the limits and now you're outside of optimal and you're more towards, I'm going to maximize all these other things, in which case there's this kind of trade-off. But aside from that, like hormone replacement therapy, because remember the context is this. Here you have an individual whose testosterone is low and ideally they've tried to get it raised through lifestyle and healthy practices, and for whatever reason it's low, then going on replacement therapy improves quality of life and improves all health outcomes. So
what's it? What the dose determines the poison or whatever?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is like anything else. Now, the neat thing or the good positive thing is that we have a ton of research around testosterone and testosterone therapy and replacement therapy and the amounts that you can take safely. And so there's a pretty high range that you could get up there and remain pretty damn safe. Now, long-term abuse of steroids, there's definitely side effects of that, but replacement therapy, taking enough to put your body at just optimal levels, not super physiological levels, optimal levels, is all positive.
Yeah, what's
it's
funny?
A positive thing.
What's funny too about the hormone of testosterone. In the past, we've had a lot of bad press because it is a performance-enhancing hormone. But the truth be told, of all the hormones you can take, it's one of the safest ones. I'm trying to think right now what hormone would be safer than testosterone. Like if you took a person and you mega dose
Definitely
them,
not insulin. Definitely
No, you'll
not,
die.
Definitely not birth control. Definitely not. I mean,
no, like
thyroid.
if you mega dosed all the hormones individually to see which one is more likely to cause big time health issues, I can't think of one that's safer than testosterone. And this is all backed by the data. It's actually a really safe hormone. I mean, athletes will take 10 times.
what are the most common? Thyroid, insulin,
Thyroid will kill you.
birth control. What else?
Yeah. You could go like progesterone and estrogen. You take that too high, you do increase the risk of blood clots. and certain types of cancer.
I mean, I've never
insulin will kill you right away.
Yeah. I've never thought of comparing it that way. So it's such a great point. If you compare it to every other
Growth hormone
exogenous hormone that we can take,
Oh, yeah.
it's the safest of all.
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
if someone was like, here, we're going to give you 10 times your normal amount of any hormone, which one would you pick? Testosterone.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill you. The other ones might cause some problems.
Next question is from Amelia Hertline. From what I read, programming seems deceivingly simple, picking movements that you connect to and changing them out periodically, changing rep ranges and rest times periodically, making sure to progressively overload with weight, form, rep sets, or rest times. What are some things to focus on when creating your own programming and to ensure its effectiveness?
Okay, you have to chuckle a little bit.
Of course.
You have to chuckle a little bit about how this is the table's been set here. From what I read, programming seems deceivingly simple. You just have to do this, and this, and know how to do the right balance. Of
I'll
all
ask
those
a
things.
question. I'll ask a similar question.
Well, chewing gum.
From what I understand, coding is simple. You just use ones and zeros. And You just put them in order and then you create a new program.
Java.
Yeah,
Just like that.
Yeah, no. Programming it's funny. What's that learning curve? I can't remember the name of it, but like people will go to school for something, and in the beginning they're like, I know everything, and then after a couple of years, like I know nothing. There's an actual term for this. Maybe you can find that, Doug.
Dunbar's law. Something like that.
Programming is actually deceiving. It's actually incredibly complex.
Yes.
It's incredibly complex. Here's the good
I
news.
spent 10 years of my trainer thinking it was so simple and easy, and didn't realize what a shitty trainer I was.
It took
You're
me
giving them super general, like lame programs.
It took me 10 to 15 years to like say, I think I can program well, depending on the person.
Yeah.
So yes, there are variables like exercises, sets, reps, tempo, but you're also looking at the day, the order, which one goes with the best. Of course, you have to consider the individual with all of this. There's a huge wrench that you throw in the machine.
Right. The combo of it all.
Then you look
how
at the
intense it
days,
is.
how the days connect and what that means. Then you look at the weeks and, I did this week. I got to do something else this week. Then you look at the month and then you look at big time programming. It's complex to the point where,
Dunning-Kruger
Oh yeah, I
effect.
remember this.
Yes.
It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
That's right.
It's funny because I read this the other day. Like during the 60s and 70s, the Soviets were dominating in Olympic weightlifting, and when the Iron Curtain came down in 1989, we had a lot of their coaches come over and kind of teach us what they did. The reason why they were kicking our ass wasn't because they used better drugs, because we were using drugs too. It was because they had applied the scientific method to workout programming, and they had figured out how to really break it down. So here's what's simple. Moving, as long as it's not overdoing it, is better for you than not moving. That's simple. But if you want your workout to really maximize how your body feels, your results, if you want to know how to change it based on the context of your life and how you feel, this is where it gets really complex. Here's the good news. A good programmed workout is cheap. It's inexpensive. I mean, if you got one of our programs, so long as it was an appropriate one for you, so don't just go for the hardest one, but think, okay, what do the guys say about these workout programs and which one will fit me? You get one of our programs, you have 3 months of workout programming. You can have a year of workout programming with us for less than it would cost you a year of your supplements. So, and that's it. You could recycle that for the rest of your life, and you're set.
I also think where this comes from is that if you took somebody who has a unhealthy sedentary lifestyle and you had them do any array of exercises consistently for 6 months.
So long as it wasn't overdone, right?
Right.
make an
So long as
effect.
you didn't like radically abuse them or what that, like they consistently did all these random exercises 3 times. Let's say you did a decent dose 3 times a week for an hour workout, and you picked all kinds of random exercises with no rhyme or reason, and manipulated all these things like you're saying, just sometimes here and there. That person would be fitter than the version of them that didn't do anything, right?
I'll give some simple. These are silly, simple examples. I can come up with a million of them. But here's an easy one, right? Like someone's like, I'm going to work out today, and I want to work out my core. That's really important for me, and I'm going to work out my shoulders. So, but the core is more important. So I'm going to go and hit my core, and then I'm going to go do standing overhead press. Now, any strength coach or trainer would be like, no, do not hit your core before you do standing overhead press, because you're going to put yourself at high risk for low back injury, right? Or somebody might be like, hey, I heard
as well.
Yeah, I heard deadlifts are really important. I heard squats are really important. I'm going to work out on Monday and Tuesday this week, so I'm going to go deadlift on Monday, then I'm going to go barbell squat on Tuesday. No, don't deadlift before you squat like that. It replaces you at higher risk for injury. Those are simple examples, but there's a lot of moving pieces. Programming is more complex than you think. And if you don't believe me, rather than creating your own program or following your own program as you have, try one of ours, follow it, and then come back to me and watch what happens.
But I do want to make it clear, because we've said this many times, an inferior program done consistently is still better than a superior program done inconsistently.
True.
And so that's where this comes from too, is that you're right. If someone just does random exercises, but they consistently do them, and they
so long as they don't overdo it or hurt themselves,
right. Like then, that person is far better off than the guy who has a MAPS program and rarely shows up.
Yeah.
So of course but if comparing apples to apples, where both clients, I mean, you take a client, you give them all your random exercises, and I take that same client and then program correctly, I bet you everything.
That's why it's misleading, because a lot of the exercises are the same that you'll see across the board with a lot of the programs out there. These other programs, a lot of times you'll see entertainment being highlighted a lot more. And so there's more of the marketing flash, and there's more of the visuals. And also
that looks fun.
Yeah, it looks hard, or they give you the feeling of hard, but the combination of everything matters so much more.
Yeah, it's funny. You're just making me think of like group workout classes are notorious for what you just said.
Yeah.
I've seen group workout classes where people are hanging from swings, or they're wearing what look like, I don't know what they're called, like bouncy shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Or where people are using trampolines, or then they use poles, like pole dancing. There's no workout programming. It's all about like, let's add something novel to make it look fun and get people to
let's create movement for these sedentary people, and we'll show them results, because you're right. If you take somebody who's not going to that thing, and they do that thing 3 days a week consistently, and they'll see an improvement from what they were doing, which was nothing. And so, but there is definitely levels to this as far as like.
Here's the difference between bad programming and good programming. If you have a trainer who does bad programming, the client will get some results, and they'll be like, oh my God, I got some results. Man, I was working so hard. It was so challenging. I got so sore. It was really a grind.
But I did it.
Then the client with the good trainer is going to go, I don't know how the hell I look so good. I feel like I'm working out, but I feel good. I'm not getting beat up. I'm not doing a lot.
Effortless.
But it's like, it's so crazy how like my body's responding.
That's probably the best way to describe this, is that you're right. You could still, get there through poor programming, or get a ways with poor programming, but good programming, when done correctly, will feel effortless. And that is like what you want. And this is what we always want people to experience, because there is this stigma around being really fit and in shape, that it's like, oh, that person has to be married to the gym and killing themselves and never enjoying food. It's like, no, actually not at all like that. In fact, they can have those abs, they can look that way, they can be that strong, and go to the gym a few times a week,
and
2-3 times a week, and enjoy foods that they like to eat too. It is effortless when you do it correctly, but if you are doing it incorrectly, it can feel like a grind trying to get there.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. Shredded, ripped, defined, single-digit body fat.
Yes.
You want to get there? Let's talk about it.
Difficult. And is it worth it? That's a follow-up question.
Yeah, first off, we got to say that, okay, so single-digit body fat, obviously, body fat percentages that can be represented by one digit, like 3%, 5%, 6%, 9%. That's ripped for men. For women,
add 10%.
Yeah, exactly. You go up about